Hey, remember when the whole idea of the US buying Greenland suddenly hit the news? I mean, it sounded like something straight out of the 1800s, right? Well, today we're going to unpack the real story behind that headline. And trust me, it's way less about a real estate deal and so much more about a high stakes competition for the future of the Arctic. So let's dive in. Okay, so it all started with this one headline that just seemed to come out of left field. But that single provocative question, it actually frames the entire geopolitical game that's being played out right now on this massive Arctic island. So let's just get it out of the way. Can it actually be done? The short answer is a hard no, not even close. Both the government in Greenland and the government in Denmark have made it absolutely crystal clear. Greenland is not for sale. You know, because in the 21st century, you can't just treat a country and its people like a piece of property on a monopoly board. Right. So forget about planting a flag or signing a deed. The modern game isn't about ownership anymore. It's all about influence. It's about securing access, making sure the region is stable, and most importantly, winning over a critical strategic partner. To really get why Greenland is such a huge strategic prize, we've got to first wrap our heads around its incredible scale and its really unique political situation. Let's just start with the sheer size of this place. We're talking over 2 million square kilometers. That makes Greenland the largest island in the world. It is unbelievably vast, mostly empty, and incredibly difficult to govern. Now, take that massive land area and compare it to its tiny population, just 57,000 people. And pretty much all of them live in these small towns dotted along the coast. In fact, get this, there are no roads connecting any of the major towns. None. So what's in the middle? What dominates the interior? Well, it's a colossal ice sheet. In some places, it's up to 3 kilometers thick. That's almost 2 miles straight down. And this isn't just a bunch of ice. It's a massive climate engine that influences sea levels and weather systems for the entire northern hemisphere. So how is this place actually run? Well, politically, Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark. And as you can see from this timeline, it's been on a steady path toward governing itself. But while it handles most of its own internal affairs, Copenhagen, that's Denmark, still holds the keys to 2 really critical areas: defense and foreign policy. And that right there is crucial to this whole story. So we've got this immense, self-governing island covered in ice. The next big question is, what exactly is hiding under all that ice that makes it so incredibly valuable? It turns out, beneath all that ice lies an absolute treasure trove of the building blocks for modern technology. We're talking about rare earth elements. You can think of them as the essential vitamins for tech, stuff that's crucial for everything from wind turbines to electric cars. Plus, there's cobalt for batteries, copper, zinc, you name it. These are the absolute must-have ingredients for both the green energy transition and for advanced military systems. And this quote, I think, just hits the nail on the head. It explains perfectly why those minerals matter so much. Geopolitical power today, it is deeply, deeply tied to who controls the resources. And, just as importantly, the supply lines that get them where they need to go. See, right now, a huge chunk of the world's rare earth supply chain is concentrated in China. So for a country like the US, finding other sources isn't just an economic goal, it is a full-blown national security issue. And Greenland, well, it represents one of the biggest untapped reserves in the entire Western world. But, of course, it's not that simple. Nothing ever is. The Canave Field mining project is the perfect example of the dilemma that Greenland is facing. On one hand, you have this globally strategic resource that could make the country rich. But on the other hand, getting it out of the ground carries huge environmental risks. In this case, the rare earths were mixed with uranium. That's a risk the local population looked at and ultimately decided, nope, not worth it. So it's not just about what's buried under the ice. A huge part of Greenland's value is simply about where it sits on the map. It's all about location, location, location. As our climate changes, the Arctic sea ice is melting, and that's opening up brand new, much shorter shipping routes between Asia, Europe, and North America. And guess what's sitting right in the middle of this emerging strategic crossroads? Yep, Greenland. And beyond what might happen with shipping lanes in the future, there's the hard reality of military power today. The United States has had a critical base here for decades. Pidufik Space Base is absolutely vital for North American defense. It's a key hub for missile warnings and for watching satellites. Just this base alone makes for Greenland a totally irreplaceable strategic asset. Okay, so let's put all these pieces together now. The geography, the politics, the minerals, the location. If the US can't just buy Greenland, what does it really want? Here's the endgame. It's about making sure Greenland stays a stable, reliable partner that's firmly aligned with the West. The goal is to keep that military and economic access open, and this part's just as important, to block rivals like China or Russia from getting their own foothold in this incredibly critical region. And you can see how this puts Greenland in an unbelievably difficult position. It has gigantic strategic importance, but a tiny population and a small economy. It's being forced to navigate this immense pressure from global superpowers, all while trying to balance its dream of full independence with the very real risks of becoming dependent on someone else. So when you start to look at all these different forces converging in one place, the resources, the climate change, the geopolitics, you start to see Greenland in a totally new light. It really is the perfect case study for the biggest forces that are shaping our world right now. You've got the global demand for green energy minerals, you have climate change literally rewriting the map in front of our eyes, and you've got this new era of competition between the major world powers. It is all happening right here in this one place. And that's why this quote is just so powerful. Greenland isn't some weird, isolated exception to the rules. It's a laboratory. What happens here over the next few years is going to be a preview, a test case for how these massive global trends are going to play out everywhere else. So ultimately, this brings us back to the real question. It's got nothing to do with a price tag. It's about which powers, and just as importantly, which values, are going to influence Greenland's path as it finally steps onto the world stage.